Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, it's Maverick here, and today we're watching another episode of Yuukoku no Moriarty. So, the last episode, and this episode as well, we are in a sort of like an origin arc, right? So, to understand the origins of William and Lewis and Albert and the Moriartys. So, it's been revealed that William and Lewis were actually orphans taken in by Albert into the Moriarty family, where I think they are actually going to eventually be just completely impersonating themselves as the real Moriarty sons, right? Are they actually going to be using some underhanded methods to do all that, like for instance putting fire to the mansion and so on and so forth? Hard to say, or maybe it was just a lucky or unlucky coincidence that all of this happens. But I think at the end of the day, what's going to happen is that William and Lewis are just going to make themselves as part of the Moriarty family, and most of the people are going to be none the wiser. So, is that going to happen? Let's get into it and find out. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Now, I mentioned last episode as well, right? So, even though Moriarty's Albert's parents and his brother, the actual William, are kind of dicks, I don't think that necessitates killing them yet. But, we'll have to see. I mean, after all, they are anti-heroes, right? They are more concerned with their brand of justice. This is definitely some guy that's gonna start a cult. Alright, so basically some recount. Great. Alright. How are they actually going to go for all this? This is probably Sherlock, right? Yeah, this is definitely Sherlock Holmes. And the one behind him would be Watson. Yeah. He looks like a vampire or something. Anyways. Alright, how are you going to go about all this? Act 2. So does that mean there's an Act 3? And potentially an Act 4? We'll see. Okay, it looks like we are going to get through the specifics of how they first arrived, and then what's going to happen in the end. Alright, this is happening. I'm sure. I'm pretty sure they're not going to be able to eat at the same table, right? So that's how Lewis. I was wondering, like, how, you know, in his current, you know, back to current day, he's like a fighter instead. I think, you know, if we look at it from a more, you know, just from a pure value perspective, right? You know, not considering all of that, I'd say that's a pretty good investment. Does he have a tumor or something? Is he gonna throw a tantrum? You're seriously sick in the mind, dude. I feel like this guy is definitely. You know what? Even though I said that they're dicks, but they don't deserve to die. This William is really making it hard for me to continue on with this stance. Is he gonna stab himself instead? Yeah. Oof. Which Moriarty? The father or Albert? Okay, he's talking about Albert. Okay. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious now. He's gonna enlist his help to kill off his parents and his brother. But hey, they are doing a good job of making them extremely, extremely unlikable, eh? Oh, the illness is gone? Oh. Okay, that's what William's gonna try to do. So yeah. So William was impersonating the real William. Alright, so now he's gonna enlist the help of the other William. So he's gonna go ask him, right? And then they're gonna hatch this plan to kill them all. And impersonate their identities. Oh, here we go. Incidentally, though, before William's plan comes to fruition, I do wonder, like, what the real William is going to do. He seemed up to something. Like, I think he wanted to frame those two to be, for some crime or something. Yep. He wanted to frame them for stealing. Yep, and he's dead. Just gonna burn him alive, eh? Oh no. Your brother. He's gonna scream. So, I don't understand how... Like, do they not care if he suddenly screams out in help or something? From yourself. Like, aren't they afraid that he's going to shout? Yeah, he really did just kill him. Yeah, I like how William is just there on the ground and not actually screaming or anything. Aren't they gonna gag him or something? Alright, gas. Yep, they're gonna burn the parents alive. And potentially all the servants as well. So it's gonna trigger by somebody opening the door. Once again, though, I just feel like what about William, the actual William? Like, he seriously was... Alright. Thanks for being so cooperative, William. Boom. Now to stage the escape. And then oh, to make it more authentic. Right. So tying back into the end of the last episode, once people ask who those two are, he's gonna be like, they're my brothers. They're the second and third sons of the Moriarty family. See? Although with this, they would need to make certain that all these servants are dead as well. And this is William. William James Moriarty. Yep. There we go. Back to present day. Obviously didn't say the entire thing to this dude. And that's it for this episode, right? The end. There we go. Alright, I will see you guys after this. Alright, things pretty much went as expected. They caused this giant fire, killed off all the Moriarty families, and impersonated their identities, right? So, I mean, it was quite telling already from the signs that we saw last episode, at the very end there as well as seeing William actually going around, the fake William, I mean, actually going around and impersonating the real William, to really build up his own public image, the perception of this, and gradually ease into his new role, right? Now, I don't know, I feel like at that point, Albert probably hadn't really conversed with William about what he was trying to do yet. He hadn't really made up his mind, but William, being the smart kid that he is, already deduced that, this is pretty much what's going to happen, so he already made his own preparations, right? And indeed, I feel like if Albert did not, in the end, choose to do this, William might have carried out the plan anyways, right? In order to achieve his goals, because he definitely has a goal in mind, and he's going to go towards it no matter what it costs. And yeah, Albert did indeed just kill off his own family in cold blood, right? His parents basically burned to death, and he himself even delivered the fatal blow to his own brother. Now, granted, this episode was trying really, really hard for us to see them as villains, as evil people, and whatnot, and certainly, I don't think anybody is going to disagree there, even though you can argue whether they deserve to die or not, but indeed, this episode was making a very compelling case for them to actually kill them off for the good of, for the general good. But let me remind you guys that there were actually a lot more servants in the mansion as well. You you're an earl, right? And having a mansion that big, there are definitely more servants in that mansion than just Simon, the butler, all right? So they killed a lot of people in order to pull off this plan. Now, I'm not going to judge on that point. For those of you who have been watching me for a long time, I don't typically go over the sort of moral issues that, you know, I'm not going to say, oh, you're a bad guy because you killed people, innocents or whatnot. That's not my style. And indeed, in this case, you know, they essentially are waging a holy war, right? That's the best way to describe it. They have their own brand of justice. They're going to follow it. And, well, other people be damned because they are going to achieve their goal no matter what. So, you know, it is a dangerous way of thinking, but at the same time, it is the way of actually getting things done, right? So I'm not going to judge them on that point. In the future, however, I do feel like we should probably take this into consideration. You know, they are criminals, they are villains, they are willing to murder innocents with no hesitation at all. You know, we'll have to see about that, right? In the future, whether or not there's going to be some other moral conundrums popping up, and then maybe, are they going to stick to their principles? Are they going to stick to their values that they themselves value? Or are we going to see some hypocrisy here, right? That's definitely something that I am going to keep an eye on in the future. Now, you know, that's to me, that's the boring talk. The more interesting things to me about all this is trying to figure out, like, does this actually work, right? Because to me, I feel like there's still a lot of holes in this entire story, a lot of holes in order for William and Lewis to suddenly impersonate the Moriarty family, you know, killing off the actual family. They needed to kill off all the servants as well, right? Because otherwise people would know, hey, no, wait, well, that's not the actual William. He looks a lot different from the real William, right? So that's not going to work. And there was never a third son, Lewis, right? So, you know, obviously they need to kill off everybody who is, you know, in direct contact with family and whatnot in order for them to pull this off. And then, you know, to the general public or to the other royals and whatnot, they might say something like, oh, Lewis was always sickly, so we never really mentioned him. We always kept him at home, but now that he's better, we can bring him out now. You know, something of that sort, right? I'm sure they have, they're going to think of some excuse for that. Now, with that being said, though, I still feel like this is going to be a pretty, a pretty long stretch to actually allow William to impersonate the real William, because it's not like the real William was just a shut-in who only stayed in the mansion, right? We can clearly see that he goes to parties, he socializes, that's what he does, and other nobles are going to know about him, right? So they're going to have to be very, very careful not to actually meet any other nobles or whatnot in order for their cover story for their cover story to not be blown. In fact, even taking on the Moriarty name itself is already kind of dangerous, right? Now, I don't think this series is actually going to go into all the specific details and whatnot, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of holes here. And not to mention, this is an earldom, right? Earls are kind of a big deal. Even they are the third highest ranking nobility in England, right? So they definitely have an extended family as well. It's definitely not just what we can see here. They have far relatives and whatnot. So it's really not that easy, honestly, to impersonate someone, and indeed for a third son to suddenly pop out of nowhere with no actual identity or records or whatnot. So, although I don't think the series is going to go too deep into how they eventually solved all these problems, I do have a feeling, though, that this might come up later once Sherlock Holmes enters the scene, right? Because they are going to be mortal enemies, right? Rivals, and so on and so forth. And Sherlock Holmes is definitely going to be investigating the Moriarty family, and he is going to be able to see a lot of these inconsistencies and whatnot. And that's probably what's going to allow him to, Sherlock, to eventually go like, hey, these guys are fakes and whatnot, and trying to get to the bottom of the situation. Now, you know, which side are we actually supposed to root for? That's a really hard thing to say, right? I feel like this is sort of like a Death Note situation, right? Whether or not you want to root for Light or L. By the way, I was rooting for Light all the way at that point, and I feel like, I don't know, I feel like this kind of situation is a little bit different. I'm still, you know, holding for right now, but they certainly made a compelling case in this one. I want to see how they carry things on going forward. What exactly does their brand of justice entail, and what are the outcomes that it can have, right? So, I do believe that's pretty much it. I'm looking forward to see Sherlock Holmes. I mean, I can't say 100% for certain, but I do feel like there are enough gaping holes there that if Sherlock Holmes wanted to do an investigation, this would absolutely be, you know, a weak point that he should look into, a suspicious point that he should look into in order for him to solve the case. If they don't look into it, then honestly, I feel like that's kind of unbefitting of the great detective here. Anyways, that's it for episode 3 of Yuukoku no Moriarty. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.